When British comedian Max Dickens decided to propose to his girlfriend, he realised he had a problem. He had female friends to help him pick out a ring, but nobody he could ask to be his best man.
Hey!
Hey!
I gotta get some friends.
A quick Google search reveals he wasn't the only one. Men all over the world were struggling with friendships. And so Max had a mission. Get to the bottom of why men have a mate's problem, and maybe, just maybe, he'd find a best man.
I love you, man.
He's since written a book about his journey in the hope that he can help men find a bestie before their wedding day.
Well, joining us now is comedian and author Max Dickens. And Max, how did you feel when you discovered that this wasn't just a you problem?
It made me think that how come we don't talk about this? I thought I was the only one. And it made me realise that we think loneliness looks a certain way. It tends to be an older person, the sort of person you see waiting at a bus stop with a sort of longing look in their eyes. But actually, loneliness looks like me. It can look like an early 30-something outgoing guy, quick to buy his round. It's kind of everywhere, and it's something that can happen by accident as you get older. And you can be really busy, you can have a good family, you can have a good romantic relationship, but that part of your life can be missing.
Why is it happening? What's the reason?
One is to do with how we show up with our male friends, and we often bring some slightly odd rules to how we'll connect to one another. Rules like, keep it light, this should be fun, don't go there, this is for comfort, not confession. There's some things that feel off limits. Now, what happens when you get a bit older? You kind of turn 30 and beyond, maybe your job gets pretty intense, you might get into a serious romantic relationship, you might have kids. Suddenly there's less time. And what a lot of men do is drop out of those activities, drop out of those shared spaces that they used to hang out in, and the friendships disappear with them.
What have you changed since that day?
The biggest thing I've changed is being more intentional with my friendships. I used to think friendship was something that just happens to you. You just go through life and it's just there. But after my realisation, I thought, do you know what? I've got to put some effort into this.
All right, give us some guidelines. What is something men can do to solve this best man problem, ideally before the wedding?
Take ownership. Often men leave the socialising in their life to the women in their life. So it might be their wife, might be their girlfriend. We can treat these people like the HR department in our lives, and we kind of outsource all the social work to them. But actually, we've got to take some of that labour on and own it.
It's great advice. I did just want to check in. You're aware that you've literally lived out the plot of the film I Love You, Man?
I cannot tell you how many people have said that to me. I am aware of that, yes. I'm not embarrassed by it. But as with that film, there is a happy ending.
Yeah, how did it end? Did you get a best man?
So I spent a year trying stuff out, solving my friendship problem. It came to choosing a best man, and I had a list of friends that I'd happily asked to do that role. And I thought, well, who should I have? And in the end, I thought right back to the start. And those two women that went with me round that jewellery shop, I ended up asking them. I ended up having two best women. Now, if you hear this, you might think, hang on, this guy's a fraud. He's been talking about male friendship and he's had women instead. But the whole point for me was not about just filling a role, ticking a tradition box and having someone up in front of me in the church who was a bloke. It was about something much bigger. It was about how I connected to the men in my life, how I related to myself, how I maintained my social world. And I managed to do that. But the real answer to the question, who was my best friend? Well, it was Philippa and Hope, and they did a great job.
Wow.
Awesome. Well, Max, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
All righty. See you later.
Kia ora, welcome along the project Monday night, and John Toogood's here. huge honour for all of us to have you on the show. And I get, well, people know you from Shehad mostly. I guess if you've got a problem making friends, you just form a band, right? That's easy.
That's one way of doing it. It's more like a family, though.
Yeah. And you might end up losing friends over a band as well. But did this resonate with you?
Absolutely. I mean, like, if my wife didn't force me into social situations, I would happily stay at home, play my guitar, watch the NRL, just at home. But yeah, and then we do it, and then I always go, oh man, I should have done that ages ago. It's so great. I love it.
Yeah.
But
Which is so funny because I think, you know, you see you on stage like this out there rock star and you just assume you must be an outgoing person who's super comfy making friends, but it's not, you can't assume, and I think it's good that we're talking about this.
Certainly with a young family, you lose time, right? You don't have time for catch-ups, and I wondered maybe you also lose the habit of reaching out to your mates?
It's not something that we learn, really, how males is how to make friends. And also, when we were talking about this before the show, someone said loser, and we all laughed, because that's what you do, right? If someone says they don't have friends, you get the loser thing, and you don't discuss it anymore, which means you never admit to that problem in front of anyone, which means you never get round to solving it.
Totally. So
Yeah, if cool guy John Toogood knows that it's hard to make friends, then I think that kind of makes it cool.
it's not hard, it's just I'm just lazy.
Oh, okay.
It is, well, that's what he says. You need to own it and not be lazy, right? Make the effort.
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry for yelling loser at you before the show. If you want the full story, Max's book is called Billy No Mates. It's out now wherever you buy your books.